Many people with mental illness wonder how there is any purpose to existence for something that appears to strip people of their awareness and identity. In what capacity could it function? It would appear that the richness of life is blocked by the pervasive suffering that we observe when we examine the world more closely. It would appear that traumatic events, such as daily hardships and wars that have killed millions, impede the development of awareness. But is it possible that there is a secret meaning behind these challenges, even the most sinister ones? What if the things that devastate us really serve as triggers for something more profound? What if the things we fear the most are actually opportunities hiding behind seemingly insurmountable barriers? Is it possible that the story's conflict actually marks the beginning of the protagonist's true metamorphosis rather than its conclusion? You may begin to question as we go on, what if the things you consider failures in your own life are really opportunities for growth? In a broader sense, when you observe worldwide, it's not just mental disease that manifests in varying degrees. There are three distinct forms of mental illness: the acute form, which is officially known as mental illness; the less acute form, which is referred to as neurosis or something similar; and the normal form, which is human consciousness as a whole. You wonder, what possible purpose could there be in a world full of consciousness-blocking events and all that suffering? One may argue, what good could have come out of all this human bloodshed in the 20th century? It was an error on my part that I stated 100 million in The Power of Now. I now know better. The actual number of people killed by humans in the 20th century alone was closer to 170 million. There were 170 million human casualties. There were 170 million casualties, while the precise number is unknown. What possible use might that serve? Feel free to inquire as well. No good can come out of all that pain, can it? Additional factors seem to be obstructing awareness, such as the tragic deaths of young children due to accidents or illnesses. Even in the modern Western world, there are people who are enslaved and unable to move freely because of the terrible conditions in which they are held. When considered separately, all of these factors appear to obstruct the emergence, the blossoming, of awareness. However, it appears that initially, a misunderstanding occurs when we observe a person as though they were a completely independent entity. That is, as though the life he or she is leading were really his or her own. Because if you do, you fail to recognize that all living things, including people, are but fleeting manifestations of the one life force. Your awareness or life force is an extension of my own consciousness. Something is occurring in this cosmos, and that something is consciousness entering the world of form and increasingly expressing itself fully via the world of form. This consciousness is expressing itself in diverse ways. In spite of this, there is only ever one awareness that assumes a billion different forms of life. Still, the person in question thinks, "That's me? My life is that." No, it's just life. I don't claim ownership of this endeavor. My consciousness is not involved. That which is known as my consciousness is not mine, but rather the one and only among many. Thus, every living being is equivalent to another. On one level, it is always terrible when something awful appears to happen. At that scale, no one can deny that the slaughter of 170 million innocent people by human beings is horrific. But if you delve further, you'll notice that something is starting to take shape, and for some reason, it's often through seemingly random blocks that consciousness is starting to take shape. And that is also useful at times. The flowering occurs through the difficulties, which are not apparent when examining individual situations, but become apparent when considering the entirety of consciousness that desires to develop but encounters what appear to be hurdles everywhere. Therefore, you can question, isn't it unfair that this person poses a bigger challenge than another? Nothing is ever truly lost because at their core lies a singular mind. Additionally, the one consciousness can gain insight into what is often referred to as mental disease. I can't put my finger on it, but I do know that certain mental diseases stem from consciousness that has gone a little off or gone unnoticed. Even if the West doesn't acknowledge some things like spiritual rising, there are some Indians who have become saints and masters and who would have been institutionalized there. Their lack of Western origin is a fortunate thing. While I don't claim that all mental disease stems from a failure to recognize or understand the waking process, I do think that many Westerners hold this view. Plus, how am I privy to this information? When you examine your own life, you can learn a lot. I am aware that everything that appeared to hinder the complete emergence of consciousness in my life, and I'm sure you may experience the same in yours, eventually contributed to the emergence, to the awakening. All the obstacles and pain were really components of the awakening when I consider my own life, which is but a little sample of the collective. The awakening would not have taken place if it hadn't occurred. Unfortunately, the awakening also includes the collective pain of humanity in all its forms. However, keep in mind that a person's perceived identity is not necessarily their true identity. They represent the One, which is ever searching for new ways to communicate with the world around it. Accordingly, we imagine a person in pain if this pathway is cut off. That's correct on some level as well, and being present certainly helps. Part of it is offering any assistance you can. In the end, though, that sensation of self is an illusion since your identity is eternal and unchanging regardless of any one person. If I hadn't faced these seemingly insurmountable obstacles in my life, I doubt I would be here now. And you wouldn't be standing here today if you hadn't endured that which you did. So, the challenges that arise throughout the process of consciousness's emergence are, in the end, aspects of that process. Knowing that there is only one life, that the life within you and the life within me is the one life, is a freeing realization. Nothing will be truly lost if I pass away right now. When you pass away, all is not lost. The idea that your life is special and exceptional needs to be dispelled. Like everyone else, you are a manifestation of the One. Thus, the whole human race is finally waking up. When a new age begins, it is like the birth pangs of the new age. It hurts before the baby is born. So, these are the pains of awakening, and they would make sense if you could see the big picture. Acknowledging that killing 170 million is insane is a part of coming to terms with it, but it doesn't make it okay. Part of the waking is realizing that we're all insane. As we draw to a close on our exploration of the intricate relationship between mental illness and the human condition, an intriguing thought occurs to me. What if the obstacles we encounter do not mark the end of our path, but rather the start of something revolutionary? Take, for example, the fact that many people who have overcome severe depression go on to have a profoundly different perspective on life, one that is filled with gratitude and empathy, and one that values joy and connection more highly than before. In spite of appearances to the contrary, every difficulty we face is actually an unanticipated opportunity to learn more about who we are and how the world works. Despite their seeming insurmountability, these obstacles have the power to set us free and show us that the things we fear the most may actually be the catalysts for the greatest personal development. Now that you've delved into this exploration, think about this. What if the challenges you've faced in the past are really opportunities to grow and experience more? If you found this journey meaningful, please show your appreciation by giving it a like. Also, be sure to subscribe to our channel if you're looking for more motivational videos and articles. Let us keep exploring these enigmas together, finding the wonders amidst the mayhem.